The Mark Thompson Show.
Fridays, we like to, hang about, what was this, a segment, about 10, 15 minutes we're going to do?
15, 20, 30, it depends.
Oh,
It's
my
open-ended.
God.
It's
No, we're not doing 20 or 30. All right, so anyway.
We'll see.
We like to hang with somebody who knows this world of music, of movies, of streaming, all of the magic of entertainment. He comes every Friday to this show, and he comes and goes on a rainbow. How about it for Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster? Hello, Michael.
What a momentous episode of the Mark Thompson Show today. Not only are we celebrating Pride Month.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Pride to all my LGBTQ plus friends and
Damn
those
straight.
of you in the Mark Thompson Show audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's the anniversary of D-Day, and it's Kim's birthday.
Wow.
Wishing you the happiest of birthdays, Kim.
Happy
Thank
birthday
you.
again.
I love Tesla.
We love Tesla.
You are a savvy, feisty dynamo and integral to the success of the show. But let's get down to what's really special about today. It's the first triple Michael episode of the show. Dr. Michael Shore, and yours truly.
Wow.
All on the same Friday installment of the MTS, Michael to the Third Power.
There's never been anything like
We could
this.
try ignoring it, sir.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hey,
There's never been anything like it. Sorry, Albert, I stepped on you.
Speaking of D-Day, I can't wait until the next D-Day.
There's never been anything like this.
Thank you.
The next
Okay.
D-Day is going to be when our democracy is divested of a certain dastardly dog. It won't be nothing but celebration in the streets, I think. But and one more quick D-Day note.
Yes.
I want to recommend a movie called The Last Rifleman, which I've talked about before, but it's very, very timely to watch it this weekend. It stars Pierce Brosnan in what I initially thought of as a career-capping performance, one of the best of his life, playing a veteran in his 90s who tries to attend the 75th anniversary celebration of D-Day on Normandy Beach. It is a wonderful movie, a bravura performance. If you've enjoyed Pierce Brosnan as gang lord Conrad Harrington in the current show Mobland, which I highly recommend, he is wonderful in The Last Rifleman.
Well, bravura is a ding word. If I have my ding available.
Yeah. I know that Mark is looking forward to watching.
By the way, you're telling me that Pierce Brosnan plays a 90-year-old man?
Yes, and they have to do it with makeup and such.
Sure.
But he is.
What?
It's an amazing. I can't believe you haven't already seen The Last
No, at the
Rifleman.
last I just made a note. I'm going to watch it this weekend.
It's of historical note, and oh, what a great!
I'm going to say
performance.
something now, and I don't know how this is going to go down. I just speak, Kim. I don't have any manicured or choreographed comments. You know this, Michael.
Yeah.
I just speak from the hip. I speak honestly. I think Pierce Brosnan is like disarmingly handsome. I'm a straight man, but I'm telling you, that guy is insanely good looking.
And now he is a silver fox.
And the idea somehow that he could, play a 90-year-old and then also obviously in flashback, you see the younger man. Wow.
Mostly you see him as a 90-year-old.
girl.
And
Don't
even
even
play.
play.
if you have not watched
I concur.
Mobland, and I know how much Courtney loves the true crime and such, and Mobland is one of the best crime dramas on television,
okay.
starring Pierce Brosnan as gang lord Conrad Harrington. I just want to point that
I
out.
have one other thing about Pierce Brosnan because
Oh,
I
go
love
ahead.
cutting you off.
Go
and
ahead.
so
you
I
can't stop yourself.
I will tell you that I watched a movie on DVD many years ago called The Tailor of Panama.
Excellent.
It's a terrific movie, and Pierce Brosnan is in it, along with Jeffrey Rush, I believe.
Yeah.
So you got great performances. okay?
Amazing performances.
But here's the point. That after the movie, I liked it so much that I went and watched the movie again with the director's now running commentary as I watched the movie. And one of the things that the director said was Pierce Brosnan was so handsome. He plays a bad guy in the movie.
He does.
That we tried to dirty him up because he's a bad guy. Like we didn't want him to be. So he wasn't clean shaven a lot of the time. We made him a smoker. We did these things that kind of tried to make, and the director's talking. And he said, whatever we did, we couldn't dirty him up. The guy's handsome no matter what. So I'm not alone in my mad, in the crush I have, the man crush I have on Pierce Brosnan.
If you have not seen him in Mobland, and again, he and Helen Mirren give performances that will have your jaw crashing to the floor.
Oh, yeah. Albert has it up now. There
Mobland,
you go.
fantastic. I recommended it before on the Mark Thompson Show. You may have been off on one of your cruises. I don't remember. But hey, Mark, I know we got to get to movies.
Let's do it, pal.
I know you're looking forward to watching the major blockbuster this weekend that's coming out, Trumpzilla versus King Musk. Cities will crumble, nations will be destroyed. I know you're going to be tuning in. But as for what's in the theaters, let's get down to it. From the world of the exceedingly and almost hilariously violent John Wick movie franchise, that's 4 films strong and counting, comes a spinoff, Ballerina. And it's, pardon the reference to a classic movie, all about Eve, a plucky orphan girl who sees her father killed by the cold leader of a group of deadly hired guns. So in the bloody aftermath, she's rescued by Winston, the man who runs the Assassin's No-Kill Refuge, the Continental, in the John Wick movies, and who leaves the child in the hands of a calculating woman in charge of what appears to be a knockoff of Marvel Comics' Russian school for killers, the Red Room. So there, that plucky orphan girl is trained in ballet and the art of murder as part of a crime family in conflict with other crime families on the international scene. If you've watched the John Wick movies, there are these different phalanxes of crime and killing and what have you.
Phalanx is a ding word.
So eventually Eve grows up, and seeking the people who killed her daddy, she's going to travel to a remote Alpine village populated by nothing but assassins and led by a mysterious figure known as the Chancellor. And of course, hell breaks loose. Although they called it Ballerina, they could have just as easily called it Jane Wick in Wicktown. I mean, there's bullets flying and the whole deal. That might have been a little too on the nose. I'm surprised that no one has yet to publish a Wikipedia, by the way, all about these movies and John Wick. Anyway, back to Ballerina. There is no need for any brain flexing. It's just more action and creative violence, with the difference being that the lovely and limber Ana de Armas is at center stage as Eve, the titular dancer and assassin, instead of Keanu Reeves as Wick. And he, of course, is the seemingly invulnerable, noble hitman with a code. And insofar as the bulk of this takes place around the same time as the third Wick movie, we do get the awesome Ian McShane as Winston and the dearly departed Lance Reddick in what may be his final screen role as the concierge at the Continental. Upping the star power, Keanu Reeves is also here in a supporting role as the Wickster himself, plus Angelica Houston, Gabriel Byrne, Catalina Sandino Moreno, and Norman Reedus. You know him as Daryl, the good old boy hero of The Walking Dead. And he seems kind of a welcome presence generally, but he's a little miscast here. It's all about the endless parade of shootings, stabbings, slicing, dicing, strangulations, and so forth. I know you're going to remember that my buddy Hugh Brown brought a clicker to the screening of John Wick 4 to get an accurate count of the on-screen slayings, which I believe topped out at 124. I'm not sure if Ballerina achieved those, quote, heights, end quote, but if you like this sort of thing, and millions do, there are plenty of dead bodies piling up at the hands of Eve, John, and their colleagues and enemies. It works for what it is, even if it recycles familiar tropes. I kind of prefer the recent assassin free-for-all on an airplane, fight or flight. But this, it's going to do well, and it is what it is, as the people say. It is in theaters.
Man, it's interesting because you sort of talk about the fact that it's wildly derivative, but it also sounds as though you kind of liked it.
There's a visceral thrill to these movies, and I know it's awful, and I've written about the fact that this says something very, very upsetting about our culture, that these things are popular, that horror movies are so popular. In any event, all I can tell you is that it's more of the same. It's John Wick with only a little bit of Wick.
Yeah.
A little bit of Wick.
I like the notion of a ballerina who's also an experienced killer. That it has its own appeal.
Anyway,
The Life of Chuck, I'm seeing you're gonna review that. What is that about?
Director and screenwriter Mike Flanagan has proven to be a modern master of horror and suspense. He's done these really powerful and frightening miniseries, The Fall of the House of Usher, The Haunting of Hill House, and Midnight Mass, all available on Netflix. And he's also done feature films that include Dr. Sleep and Oculus. And I bring up Flanagan's filmography because he has once again adapted something by author Stephen King, who wrote the novel Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining, by the way. So this new project, The Life of Chuck, is Flanagan's adaptation of a King novella. And considering the horrific tone of their respective projects, because there's a lot of horror, one might assume The Life of Chuck is another scary skin crawler. but one would be wrong. The Life of Chuck may address our fears of mortality, I would say, but it's far more uplift than upchuck, as it tells the story of its hero, an ordinary man named Charles Chuck Krantz, in reverse, showing how his simple acts of kindness leave a mark on people that he encounters. With some there are fantasy and sci-fi elements here, and they add shards of kind of magic to this. I'd call it a celebration of a common man, and it's kind of almost a contemporary take on Frank Capra's classic "It's a Wonderful Life." And while it won't attain that movie's immortality, The Life of Chuck is really okay on its own terms, and it's aided by a script that's faithful in structure and tone to King's story, and by a wonderful cast led by Tom Hiddleston as the adult Chuck, an accountant who reluctantly follows the career path of his grandfather, who raised him with his grandmother after the untimely passing of Chuck's mom and dad when Chuck was just a little boy. As Chuck grows up, he finds love, faces tragedy, and somehow muddles through it all. His impact on others turns out to be kind of extraordinary. So I want to give high marks to Mark Hamill. I didn't even recognize him He plays Chuck's grandfather and mentor. Mia Sara is the grandmother. And kudos to Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan as a star-crossed couple whose relationship is somehow affected by Chuck. You've got Matthew Lillard and Carl Lumbly. They're all really good in this thing. There's a point of confusion because the ages of certain characters seem to fluctuate over the course of the film, but this is a fable, you know? And if The Life of Chuck is a little overblown and isn't as profound as it wants to be, and some cynics are probably going to deride how earnest it takes on the nature of humanity, it's got a lot of heart, and it's going to make you smile and tear up here and there, unless you're some kind of monster who belongs in the narratives that King and Flanagan usually produce. The Life of Chuck is in select theaters, but I expect it's going to open wider in coming weeks. I can feel it.
You like it. Okay.
I did. And, again, people might whine a little bit because there's saccharine elements to some, you know. It depends.
What else do you have for us, Michael Snyder, a great culture blaster?
Of course, a week can't go by without another genuine horror movie being released, and Dangerous Animals is a doozy.
When did horror blow up as this genre that now is just so chock full of options, contemporary options?
I think when Donald Trump ascended to the presidency.
All right, don't smart-ass me.
I don't know. Anyway, the movie's called Dangerous Animals, and it weds the serial killer genre with Jaws. So if shark attacks make your blood run cold, Dangerous Animals may be hazardous to your health. In director Sean Byrne's taut and legitimately shocking movie, a young female surfer who goes by the name of Zephyr, just Zephyr, is on Australia's sun-kissed Gold Coast, presumably in search of the perfect wave. Dangerous Animals reinforces the idea established in the recent Nicolas Cage thriller The Surfer that Australia is a surfer's paradise, except for the evil people trying to terrorize you. So Jay Courtney is a hoot as Tucker, who is an evil, shark-obsessed captain whose boat takes the tourists out for the sort of excursions you see on Shark Week, where people get in protective cages and are lowered into the water to get up close and personal to those toothy, seagoing, killing machines.
Yeah, that's a thing, isn't it?
It is. I guess that's one way to make a living. In the case of Tucker, but his real intentions are to torment his clients and then turn them into fish food for the ruthless, finny undersea creatures he worships. In decidedly insane fashion. When he snatches up Zephyr to turn her into a chum for Sir Bites-A-Lot and the rest of the sharks, Tucker may have bitten off more than he can chew.
Oh, my God.
Anyway.
I tried to look the other way on Sir Bites-A-Lot, and then he
I had to
hit
do
me
it
with a left hook.
Dangerous Animals rocked. It's really good of kind, as I like to say. Courtney, not our Courtney here, but Jay Courtney, who often plays a tough but sometimes heroic type, gives a totally chilling performance here that swings from jovial to reflective to full-bore madman. And a young American actress by the name of Hassie Harrison is more than a match for him as Zephyr, but can she survive swimming with sharks, so to speak? You'd have to watch Dangerous Animals to find out. If you dare, it's in theaters, and eventually, I presume it's going to be on the horror streaming service Shudder.
All right. What else do you have?
Oh, I have another good one in terms of the sort of timing on this, and you'll understand when I tell you. It's another horror movie. Well, kind of. It's called I Don't Understand You, and it's actually a comedy with some elements of horror as Dom and Cole, a married gay couple, played by Nick Kroll and Andrew Rannells. So, see, there's a Pride Month tie-in here.
Oh, yeah.
They go on a vacation to Italy to celebrate their wedding anniversary. And meanwhile, back in the States, a young woman played by the lovely Amanda Seyfried is on the verge of giving birth to a baby that the guys are slated to adopt after years of waiting for the right potential mother to come along. So the Americans' itinerary includes a side trip to enjoy a special dinner in the rural farmhouse of a renowned chef who is an elderly woman who has agreed to come out of retirement to prepare the meal for Dom and Cole.
This is in Australia?
No, this is in Italy. Remember, it's
Italy,
it's
okay,
an
sorry.
Italian vacation. The sharks are in Australia.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I know.
I
Anyway,
had to rotate the globe. Oh, go ahead.
when the things start to go wrong, that's when the movie goes wrong in a way. The tonal shifts here are so jarring in the film that they kind of felt gratuitous at times, and the couple begins to act in such a strange and amoral way that it becomes a little off-putting and not particularly funny to me. I mean, they seem sincere in their desire to be parents, and then they're awful to one another, and their response to an ugly situation that develops is even worse. I mean, admittedly, what makes people laugh is such a subjective thing, and there's considerable, cringy comedy of discomfort out there that does break me up. I've talked about it here on the air. I've written about it in the Voice of SF. This only generated some fitful chuckles from me. And Kroll and Rannells are terrific. They have great timing. I believe them as a couple. I like their work in other things, but the nasty aspects of I Don't Understand You, which was written and directed by the team of David Joseph Craig and Brian Crano, kind of undermined it for me. Again, this is one of those things, and it's uncommon because it's an indie thing. It's got all the right elements as far as I'm concerned, but this is one of those where I'd have to say, not terrible.
Yeah, it just doesn't quite make it, though. Yeah. It's only okay.
Yeah. Now, quickly, I want to mention two other films that are available online as streaming options and not in theaters, and I think that this is the time. There's an animated anthology set in the Predator universe. It's called Predator, Killer of Killers, and it consists of three tales of three human warriors in three different eras on Earth, a Viking queen, a ninja in feudal Japan, and an American pilot in World War II, and they go up against the vicious interstellar hunters known as Predators. And all three segments dovetail in a very explosive finale. The animation is glorious. The action is nonstop. It was co-directed by Dan Trachtenberg and Joshua Wasong, but it didn't really linger with me much after watching it, and maybe it was due to the episodic aspects. And this is in a counterpoint to the very potent, straightforward live-action Predator Prey, which preceded it and was directed by Trachtenberg, who did this. And he's also directing the upcoming live-action Predator Badlands, which I'm looking forward to. And despite any quibbles, this is pretty badass and a little something extra for the fans of the franchise. It is on Hulu. And I want to wrap up with something you mentioned earlier in the week. It's a movie called Mountainhead, and I don't know if you've had a chance to watch it or
No,
not.
I was reading about what I was talking about earlier in the week on this show, what they did to find the locations that would be right for this story that they're telling.
Yeah,
which is like these uber rich guys. It's like the Google, it's the tech billionaires.
It's the Billionaires Boys Club Tech Bro Division. And this is written and directed by Jesse Armstrong, who was the creator of Succession. He co-created Peep Show, which is one of my absolute favorite sitcoms of all time. He's clearly a brilliant writer, and he's got a stinging point of view. He did a movie about terrorists in London, a comedy called Four Lions, which is worth seeking out. This is not quite as good as that, but there is something really incredibly topical about these four tech bros who are kind of masters of their own universes and have long been kind of a team and, buddies rooting one another on and in competition. And at one point, these guys are espousing how much each of them are worth. And it's kind of a pissing match, if you will. And what's really kind of effective about it is one of the guys has not quite reached $1 billion. And so he's like the poor relation. They call him Soup or Superman or Soup Kitchen because he's the least successful of the three. And it becomes a point of contention between them. Steve Carell plays the old hand of the quartet, but we also get playing these other significant characters. Corey Michael Smith as the most powerful. He very Zuckerberg-like. He has an AI that is actually causing trouble worldwide because of deep fakes, and that becomes incredibly topical in the context of the movie. And he's detestable, as you might guess. And Rami Youssef is a guy who is he's one of the four, and he's in kind of a really negative relationship with Venus, the one I mentioned before. And finally, you get Super. Jason Schwartzman plays the hapless. He's incredibly wealthy. He has millions and millions of dollars, but he's hapless by comparison to these other guys. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of a night of horror. Not horror as in like, slashings and goring, but it's kind of a night of horror in this beautiful, I guess, getaway that belongs to Super. And I thought it was worth watching. And
oh, wow.
And it's
Carell, Schwartzman, Youssef, and who else?
And this actor, Corey Michael Smith. And okay. They're excellent. And you'll hate them all. I'm sure you'll hate them all after watching it.
That's part of the deal. Right?
It's part of the deal. And it is available right now on HBO Max.
All right.
Which is awesome to be able to see.
I would also mention HBO Max. I love the Pee-wee documentary. It's 2 parts, really great. And then I would see the Allie Willis documentary. And as it turns out, you'll see a lot of overlap between Pee-wee and Allie. They hung out, both collectors. And you'll even see some of the same people show up in both. Really special. I learned so much about Pee-wee. And what they did to Pee-wee is unconscionable.
Exactly.
They ruined that poor guy's life. And he was a wondrous fountain of creativity.
The love that people still have for him and the influence he's had on other performers is hopefully long-lived. And I do want to point out that I did extol the virtues of the Allie Willis documentary here on the Mark Thompson
Show.
Yes,
you did, sir.
And I still believe that it's worth your time. And she was, I'm so glad I got a chance to meet her on a number of occasions, and she was a buddy of yours. That whole group of creatives, the Groundlings and Allie and all the people that hung out with them, they still are incredibly loved in the Los Angeles area and known worldwide for their talent.
Yeah. Good stuff. Michael shared a lot today, and I will review his reviews just so that you keep track of this. Mountainhead, the Steve Carell, Jason Schwartzman, Rami Youssef, Corey Michael Smith offering. They play the super rich, like the billionaire class, although one of them isn't quite at $1 billion, apparently, and that becomes sort of a plot point or a dialogue point. Michael liked it. Said it's kind of funny, also it's dark.
It's dark, yeah. And it's incredibly timely, like I said when we were talking about it.
And Predator, Killer of Killers, the animated offering, 3 different tales. Dan Trachtenberg, who's also has a history with Predator.
Yeah, he did
the live-action movie.
Prey could be the best of the Predator films since the original one.
And Michael kind of like this.
I liked it.
It's 3 different tales, again, animated.
It's an adjunct, I think.
Yeah. I Don't Understand You. The comedy with horror elements. Nick Kroll and Andrew Rannells. There's a surrogate mother. They're in rural
Italia.
Parts of Italy. Not as funny as Michael would like. Good performances from Rannells and from Kroll, but only okay. But it's in the not bad category, but also / only okay.
Yeah, the tone shifts are really, my head was like a swivel when I was watching it.
Dangerous Animals, the horror offering, where adventurers who want to swim with the sharks may turn into shark chum because of some kind of devious, dastardly plan.
I liked it.
You like that chummy kind of horror thing?
For what that stuff is, I think this really kicked butt, and Jay Courtney makes for a really detestable villain in this thing. So there's that.
I like the slug line. Those who are just listening, you can't see this. We have the poster up. Dangerous Animals, you're safer in the water.
Well, yeah. The most dangerous animal is man.
Exactly.
We know that.
Exactly. That's the thing. The Life of Chuck. Mike Flanagan directs this adaptation of Stephen King's novella. It involves mortality issues. Tom Hiddleston's in it with Mark Hamill, who apparently turns in a great performance.
Beautiful performance, and Hiddleston is wonderful. You may know him from The Night Manager or his portrayal of Loki, but this is a wonderful platform for him as well.
Matthew Lillard as well. It's in select theaters, and Michael likes it. The Life of Chuck. And he opened with Ballerina, the sweet tale of a orphan child who learns ballet and the art of murder.
What?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Travels to find the people who killed her father. And isn't that the best use of the training that she's gotten? I hope after she gets the people who killed her father, she'll go on to some real ballet work. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
Well,
Yeah.
she's on point, but the point is a knife.
All right. Michael, I adore our visits, and sadly, this one has wound down and is over.
Well, I'm also glad to be here. For those of you who give a darn, there's lots going on in both San Francisco and Los Angeles this weekend. I have 3 art openings: Corey Helford Gallery, La Luz de Jesus, and Think Space. And I'm going to go see one of the most popular LA bands of the new wave era, the Furies, tomorrow night at the Maui Sugar Mill. But for the rest of you people,
amazing.
I have a busy
for the rest of you
week.
people,
Yeah, you've really...
I'm looking forward to being back here with Mark next Friday. And go Giants. They're playing the Bravos, the Braves, tonight at Oracle Park. And anyway, I guess that's
very,
about
very impressive, Michael. I thought it was a thorough report, and it was complete with a Kim shout-out, as it is Kim's birthday.
She's a queen.
She is our queen. Michael comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
See y'all.